there's going to be a struggle. There's going to be, self-limiting beliefs that are holding the person back. So hypnosis is a great modality for being able to address the subconscious mind and make those changes.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Make More podcast with Matt Heslin. I'm Matt Heslin, I'm your host. I'm here today with my good friend Mona Jones, who's a professional hypnotherapist and a brilliant spiritual advisor. Mona, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
You look well.
Thanks.
It was a great dinner we had the other night.
It was. I love you guys. You're so fun.
It was always fun. Ron had a good birthday.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, mellow this year.
yeah. How old was he? 60?
He's ageless and timeless, as I know.
Yes, well, you are. He is not.
Spoken like a buddy.
Yeah, it's like a true friend. You guys remember we had Ron Jones, her husband, a few weeks back, talking about investing in homes and how to make money at that process. We got a lot of really good feedback on that. Yeah. And I'm sure he did too.
Yeah.
So it was great. So what I want to share today with the audience is hypnotherapy as a medium or a way of accelerating your business. Mona and I have been working together for a lot of years. We've been the best of friends for 25 years, something like that.
Yeah.
It's been a long time. Yeah. And when I started my business, I needed a boost. And so Ron had told me, Ron Jones and I, her husband and I are great friends. And Ron told me that she was a hypnotherapist or was going into hypnotherapy. And I was like, she's going to kill it. She's going to absolutely kill it because you're so good. I look at you as both a certified hypnotherapist, which I want to talk a lot about today, and a spiritual advisor. Because when I was going through a lot of things, you and I worked through a lot of different issues that I had, the business, growing up the business, and it was extremely helpful. So tell me a little bit about hypnotherapy. Tell our audience a little bit about hypnotherapy. They may not know about it. Yeah. What is it as a medium of assistance for people?
You know, the hypnotherapy, hypnosis is about working with the subconscious mind. So on the conscious level, a person has their goals, they have their direction or their path that they want to take. But if the subconscious mind is not in agreement with that, there's going to be a struggle. There's going to be, self-limiting beliefs that are holding the person back. So hypnosis is a great modality for being able to address the subconscious mind and make those changes and release those self-limiting beliefs so that the person can accelerate their path forward.
You know, it's interesting. I want to ask you the how in a minute, but with me, I was working on a $30 million deal. Remember that?
Mm-hmm, I do.
I just couldn't see my way forward. I'd never done a deal that size. And I remember coming to you and we went through, 10 sessions or something. Yeah. And pulled the deal together. And then we went from a $30 million deal to a $50 million deal to a $100 million deal to a $150 million deal. It just got crazy. And what I can say is it absolutely works. But tell me the how and the why. How does it work?
The way that it works is, as I said, we're loosening or discarding self-limiting beliefs and replacing them with beliefs that will fit your goals or your lifestyle that you're trying to achieve. So the way that those self-limiting beliefs get in there is through programming. As little kids, we pick up beliefs from our parents, from our community, and they become a part of us. And again, the conscious mind might say, well, that's not true, or I disagree with that, or I'm just going to power through that. But again, if the subconscious mind disagrees, there's going to be a struggle there. And so what we did was just release any self-limiting beliefs that you had.
So you basically unlock it in the subconscious?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because, let me ask you, I fell asleep during a lot of our sessions.
You think you were asleep.
But, so you're not really sleeping?
No. You're in trance. You're in deep trance.
And the subconscious mind is picking up and recording all of the new beliefs that we're installing.
Yes.
I can tell you that made a huge difference because I literally had very little self-confidence because I had never done that size of a deal.
Yeah. The unknown.
And how am I going to pull this off? Am I worthy? And
am I worthy? That's a good one.
Right? I mean, just to be vulnerable here, I felt really, I was a real estate rep for a big company, now going out on my own. And I was like, am I capable of doing this? Am I worthy? Are people going to listen and take me seriously? Yeah. I mean, so coming to you, We eliminate all those self-limiting beliefs is what you're saying.
Yes. Yes. So the subconscious mind had an idea of you and what you are capable or not capable of, and we just flipped it. And it's, as you learn, super relaxing. You just relax and let it wash over you, and the subconscious mind is like a sponge and it'll pull it in. But it's important that the hypnotist that a person is working with is able to pick up on how to make that suggestion organic to the person.
Well, let me ask you about that, because it leads into a great piece of information people are going to want to know. I find you because of my friend, and you're awesome. So how does somebody who lives in Atlanta or some other city find and know that they've got a qualified, kick-ass therapist? How do you know?
Yeah, word of mouth is great. Somebody you know who's had really great results. I would definitely look at longevity. If a person's just starting out, there's so much to learn. And even though I've been doing this now for almost 13 years, wow. I'm still learning. And I do this. This is the only job I do.
I remember when Ron told me you're going to be a hypnotherapist, I'm like, she is going to be amazing. And you are. And
Thank you.
Tell me about some of I know you work with business people to help accelerate their success, help them achieve their goals. You certainly did that for me. Highly recommend her. If you can find her on, you can find her on. We'll give you a link to find Mona. But do you work with people outside of the California on the internet?
Yes, definitely. I have clients that I've never met in person.
Really?
They're in New York. They're in Boston. They're
So how does that work? How do you do that? Is that
like a Zoom?
Zoom.
Yeah. And if you put in earbuds or headphones, really it cranks it up. My voice is in your skull. No space. Yeah, it works really well. And people, I would have said 10 years ago, it's not going to be possible to achieve deep trance that way or to have a connection with that person. But I think a combination of being quarantined during COVID, technology moving forward, and then myself as a hypnotist, just having more and more experience to be able to pick up on nuances, even though we're not energetically in the same room.
You can still get the gist of it, huh?
Yeah. And some people, I think, trance even deeper because they're in their own space.
Safety of their own space.
Yeah. And they're not hassling traffic or parking or anything to begin there.
So let me ask you something. When you see in the world today all the malaise and all the evil, for lack of a better word, I mean, there's got to be a huge demand for hypnotherapy.
Yeah. Anxiety in kids and teens right now is really, during their formative years, they went through a world-altering event, right?
Yeah.
And so the anxiety level in kids and teens is particularly high. People in general have a lot of anxiety. So hypnosis as a means to access that inner calm, to be able to process and understand your own thought waves, so to speak.
Can hypnotherapy actually dissolve the anxiety?
It's not going to cure anxiety, but it's going to help a person manage the symptoms of it beautifully. And it really comes down to mindfulness, but not mindfulness using the conscious mind, mindfulness in terms of recognizing the subconscious patterns that a person has and being able to put the brakes on it.
Interesting.
Before they start spiraling. So when I'm working with someone who has anxiety and they work with their medical doctor, they work with their psychologist, but they're still not able to manage it, it's still holding them back from things in life. When they add hypnosis to their program, then they are able to catch themselves before they spiral. They're able to do things they weren't able to do before, being in a crowded room, let's say, or flying, or anything that they couldn't do because of their anxiety. They find now they can, because they can manage the symptoms naturally.
Did you see a uptick in demand during COVID?
Yes.
It was a big uptick in demand.
Everyone was looking for something to feel better, to have things make sense.
What other types of clients do you like to engage with? Where's your sweet spot?
Anxiety. People particularly people who suffer from PTSD. So their therapist might recommend that they add hypnosis to their program.
Okay.
And it really accelerates the work that they've been doing.
Wow.
So they're able to get relief quicker. And I also have my website, hypnosisforkidsanteens.com. And
you want to say that again?
Slower, hypnosisforkidsanteens.com. for kidsandteens.com.
There you go.
Thanks.
Let's make sure it gets out there.
Yes.
So I know you've told me for examples of parents, and this applies to so many parents because I had 3 kids, all very athletic. You know, my daughter played, high level soccer. My son plays high level soccer. My middle daughter was a cheerleader, and sports and athletics seems to be would seem to me to be a really popular hypnosis tool.
Yes.
Is it?
It absolutely is. I don't know how often it's used outside of my practice, but definitely, because so much, as your kids can tell you, so much of the sport is mental.
Yeah.
And so if there's a glitch in the way that they perceive themselves in their sport, then it's holding them back from their full potential. So when parents bring kids to me who are not playing to their full potential, we just release, again, self-limiting beliefs, and amazing things happen, like fast.
Okay, so here's one that may throw you for a loop. So I've been thinking about this. AI this, AI that,
Yeah.
AI everything. Everything's going to be AI.
Yes.
There's no need for me or you. But do you see a place for AI in hypnosis?
In terms of...
People are making, images of themselves online and replicating themselves, and they look perfect and they sound perfect. I mean, could you see where you could actually have AI employees?
No, I don't think so. I think the connecting with another person,
Emotion.
And just feeling seen and heard is an important thing. And if a machine is seeing you or hearing you, is there value in that?
Well, I can tell you, I trusted you intimately, and that was critical, absolutely critical to being vulnerable.
Yes.
And being vulnerable is critical to healing.
Yes.
And so when I was going through that $30 million deal, I had no confidence. I was like, how am I going to do this? And we manifested that.
Yeah.
We manifested that. And I mean, it happened like, boom.
Yes.
I remember I was like, shit, I can't believe this.
I like how you say we, like I'm in on this $30 million deal.
Yeah, well, you didn't get paid on the $30 million, and you ain't never going to get paid on the $30 million. Don't send me a bill. That's so funny.
I should change my price thing to like commemorate with your success.
Yeah. Well, that would have paid off well.
Yes.
So tell me a little bit about, going forward. Is hypnotherapy going to be applicable to, other things we haven't thought about even? Like, I said AI, but that's just an easy one. I think about like, new mothers who, they're new, they don't have, the knowledge and the experience of raising children. Do you get into that? Is that part of your business?
I think the confidence factor comes back in again. If someone had a really difficult childhood or dysfunctional parents, they may not feel as though they have what it takes to be a good parent or a connected parent or fully present parent. Hypnosis can't be a substitute for traditional therapy. In other words, that person has to process their upbringing from the conscious mind first, and then we bring the subconscious into alignment with the conscious mind. So when the conscious and subconscious disagree, that conflict...
Who wins that battle?
The subconscious.
Every time?
Yeah. Well, I can't say every time, but depends on person and situation, but the subconscious is very powerful. It makes up the majority of the automatic actions.
Sorry to interrupt. I had I have a method that I use that I talk to people about regularly that I got from, I think it was Think and Grow Rich. But it was a card that you write your goal, your time frame, and why you're going to achieve it.
Yeah, the why is so important.
The why, let's start with why, right?
Yeah.
And so I visualize it. I read it 3 times. I visualize myself achieving the goal. And then I go to sleep. Then I wake up, and the first thing I do is I do the same thing.
Yeah.
Is that going into the subconscious?
Yes. Whatever you're thinking about before you fall asleep is going right into the subconscious, which is why it's so important not going to bed thinking about what you did wrong today or how you missed the bar, but what went right today, what you like to see more of in your life. When you're thinking about that, it's going into the subconscious mind, because as we're falling asleep, the subconscious mind is blooming, right?
So let's just say I was working on a new entrepreneurial venture, and I didn't have necessarily the self-confidence to pull it out. That's at the conscious level. Yeah.
On the conscious level, you might be aware that you don't necessarily have the right team in place or
Right.
the
Resources.
fully fleshed out vision. Yeah. So in that point, the subconscious and conscious are in agreement. So there's no pull yet. But let's say you do get all your ducks in a row, you're ready to go, but the subconscious is not on board with that. Then you need to address that, whether that's through NLP or hypnotherapy or, something that releases those self-limiting beliefs. And I will say that one of the really powerful things you're doing with your card there is that the subconscious mind needs a target it can hit, and it will look for every opportunity to get you closer to that. But if it's vague or you're not even sure what it is, subconscious is thrashing around in the dark trying to find something.
So you know my dream. I want to buy the Minnesota Vikings. Mm-hmm. That's been my dream. And I guess, just to be vulnerable here for a second, I can't see the pathway yet. I can't see the pathway. I visualize it. Mm-hmm. I visualize the dream. Mm-hmm. I repeat that I'll own them by 2030. But there are days that I just like, that nothing's happening. Nothing. It's not moving. Yeah. What's going on during that time?
In terms of manifesting, and that's a big word going around the internet now, that we shouldn't be overly concerned with the how. How is
the universe?
The universe is going to be at work at that. So you take inspired action. So you're just putting it out there. This is my goal. This is my time frame. And it's okay to say, I have no idea.
Because I don't.
I don't. But I trust the universe. And then again, emotion is the vibe that elevates that visualization.
So biblically speaking, there's many passages, ask the Lord for what you want, and it will be given to you if you believe that it's already there. And so I see myself owning them. I'm trying to find, from a biblical perspective, from a Buddha perspective, from any perspective, it's always about seeing it in advance. Mm-hmm. You got to see the goal in advance. And so, I'm in a place now where I'm trying to get that self-limiting belief out, that it can happen, that I'm not a part of the big boys club, because everybody up there is billionaires, doesn't mean I have to be a billionaire to put the deal together, but I'm trying to figure out how this thing is going to manifest, and trying to figure it out is not trusting.
No, that's so true.
So I know that I've got to let go, let God, and just trust that He's got it all worked out. He would have put that dream in my mind if He didn't want me to have that dream. So I know that it's like, okay, God, this is for your glory. I'm going to do it for you. I'm going to do it, but I have no idea. I have no fucking idea how I'm getting there. I have no idea. So just being honest about it.
Yeah.
I don't have any idea. Yeah. But I know. So this maybe this helps other people go, okay, I've written it down. I followed Matt's advice. I wrote it down on the card. I do a vision. But like Matt, I'm not seeing any progress. Yeah. And then you start having those self-limiting beliefs creep back in. Yeah. Yeah. So how do you prevent that?
Again, getting in touch with your why and being authentic about it, and trusting that the universe is lining things up for you, and also being available for something that will give you the same why, but with a different team or a different sport.
Can you elaborate on that?
So, for example, let's just say you are really stuck on like you are determined to own the Minnesota Vikings, but the Patriots become available and you have an opportunity to go there. Would you pass that up if you could get the same outcome?
No, I wouldn't. Answering that's rhetorical.
Yeah, right.
But I would do it because there's a path there.
Yes.
You're in the big boys club now. Now you can shift over.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So being willing to, we have to walk that line between passion and commitment to our goal, and also not fall prey to rigidity. So if you are stuck and that there's only one way to get there and you think you know what it is, you might be right, but you also might be wrong, and therefore delaying what is meant to be yours.
So it's really trusting the universe to take care of it.
What is it? The branch that bends does not break.
Yeah.
So you just have to have some flexibility built into your vision, which is why the why is so much more important than the how.
Why?
So if your why, if the Vikings is a path to your why, and you can still get that same why another way.
You know, it's like, because I can see myself winning a Super Bowl. The Vikings have never won a Super Bowl. 59 years. I'm 59, going on 59 years old. They've been around for 59 years. They've never won a Super Bowl. I just think God put it in my dream case, said, you're going to take it, you're going to win the Super Bowl, and then you're going to give me all the glory. If that is the why. I don't need the money. So I'm not doing it for the money. I'll give all the money I make to charity. I don't care. Even if it's $1 billion, give it to charity. So my why is to bring the glory to God and let people know that this dream was God-inspired. This dream was God-driven. It was successful because I gave faith. I had faith and I let go. And that's where I think I'm struggling right now, is in the letting go of the how. Yeah. Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's so many ways to get to the how. And we can't predict that. But again, you can't say, well, I'm going to leave the how up to the universe and then never make a call, never network, never leave your house, never look into it. You have to keep moving forward as best you can. And, you know, we're meditating on it, I think, is a really important.
And then turning the how over to the universe.
Oh, man, turning it, just listening to the universe.
This is really good for our audience because there's a lot of entrepreneurs and people who are aspiring to accomplish certain things in their life. And they're listening and they're doing the card and they may not be seeing the progress. Yeah. But you're not alone. I mean, I've accomplished great things in my career. Yeah. I mean, amazing things. Yeah. And you know what? The truth is, I didn't know the how. No. In fact, to this day, I still don't know how it all happened.
Yeah. When I'm working with kids and teens, there's an exercise, actually with everybody, but there's an exercise where the highest, most evolved part of you has some advice for you. It has something. And so I'm working with this kid, and afterwards I said, so what did your inner self say to you? And she said, there are no mistakes, only steps.
Oh, that's awesome.
I was like, oh, that's good stuff. I'll write that down.
There are no mistakes, only steps.
Yeah. And so when I think of, the path going forward to the Vikings or whatever your goal may be, something that feels like a mistake might literally be the step that you have to take to get to the next part that you can't see.
It's really a challenge because
patience.
It's patience. It's patience.
I'm the worst at that. So this is just.
So you understand it?
Oh yeah, no. I when I'm manifesting, I want it yesterday. Like it's.
Like I'm doing all the work. Where's the result?
Yes.
And God's like, not yet. Sit tight. I got this.
I'm lining things up.
Chill. And I'm sitting there going, I don't got time to chill. You know? I mean, I got Parkinson's. I don't know how many great years I've got left. I'm going to beat this thing. But you never know. And so I'm like, I need it now, God. Like right now.
Yeah.
And he's just like, you're in a trial of patience, brother. You're going to sit there.
Hey, listen. Make no mistake, nothing is wasted in God's economy. So one of the things you've got to learn during your time here on earth is patience. He will make you wait for those Vikings so you can learn patience. Yeah, maybe that's the lesson. Maybe that's the step that's missing.
Well, I think you brought up a really great point, which is if you're inflexible on the how and you think you've got to figure it out, you could be deeply disappointed. Yeah. It's like turn the how over to God and to the universe. Trust that the things are going, steps, not, stumbles. And if you do make a mistake, it's a learning opportunity.
Yes, if you make it one. Some people, when they make a mistake, they shut down. That's it. They throw in the towel. There's no more. So they made it a deal breaker instead of a step, and reevaluating and
so
important.
So I got to tell Ziggy Wilf, the owner of the Vikings. Tell me when you're up for sale. I'm a buyer. I got to manifest it over the podcast.
Have you ever had a meeting with him or spoken with him?
No.
That's a good first step, don't you think?
Yeah, my family's all from Minnesota, and I have several relatives that know him. But it's like...
Ask Ziggy, what do I need to know?
What do I need to know?
I need to
buy.
I can't say he'll be open to that during a meeting, but I mean, wouldn't you like to know more about the story?
I would love to. Yeah. So it's really encouraging because, if you can work with a really good, therapist, and you can get the subconscious cleared out and focused on the goal and trusting in the universe and doing your 5x7 card or 3x5 card or whatever. I think it'll manifest itself easier than you trying to force it.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm pushing water up a hill.
Yeah. Now tell your audience why the date or the time frame is so important on your card.
It's not so much that the date is important, but I'm taking the advice straight out of the book of Let Think and Grow Rich, where they say set a definitive date for the target. And they say by putting a time frame on the target, it helps you focus in and take action. Okay. If you don't have a time frame, I'm not sure this is great advice, but if you don't have a time frame, that is just floating. But I think what you'd be saying is let the universe it'll set it up as it's going to set it up.
Yes, but I understand what you're saying is with the time frame, it makes it a goal. Without it, it makes it a wish.
Right.
Sometimes wishes come true, and sometimes they just remain wishes.
Right.
So the date is moving you forward.
So what's your opinion just on like motivational speaking and its ability to transform people like you do in hypnotherapy? I mean, do you think motivational speaking from the outside does anything to, it can spark an idea, I suppose. It can spark a thought. Maybe that triggers something. But as a modem of, or element of success, moving people forward, is that as valuable? Is it?
It's another modality. Motivational speaking is talking to the conscious mind. And if the problem is in the conscious mind, then that's a great tool. Someone will be, motivated or, their views expanded. But if what they're taking in is in conflict with this in the subconscious mind, it's not going to last. So there's like a temporary high, right? You go to a motivational speaker, you watch a video or something, and you're like, yes. And then 3 days later, you're back to where it was.
Why is that?
Because the subconscious mind disagrees. So bringing the subconscious into alignment with the conscious mind. So for example, if we were talking spiritually and biblically a little while ago, so let's just say someone thinks that having incredible wealth will put distance between them and God, that the pursuit of wealth here on the physical plane is very unspiritual. So no matter how many millions they want to acquire, if their subconscious belief is that success is not spiritual, it's like hitting the brakes on the gas at the same time.
So they've got to be in alignment.
They have to be in alignment.
That is so good. That is so good. I hope our listeners are here understanding that. Yeah. I know they're hearing it, but understanding that, because that can be the resolution to a lot of their inner conflict, their lack of movement or success. Yeah.
If someone believes themselves to be unintelligent, maybe they got messages when they were a child that they're dumb or that they don't apply themselves, they're lazy. So if that's the tape that's running in the background of the subconscious mind, and they hear a motivational speaker, they feel motivated for a few days, but then the subconscious says, but you're lazy and you're dumb. So what's the point?
So you really got to reprogram.
Reprogram. Yeah.
That's the word.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds so sinister when we say we must reprogram you, but that's essentially what we're doing.
But to me, so reprogramming it is nothing more than just exchanging self-limiting beliefs for self-encouraging beliefs.
Yes. Yeah. And particularly with the anxiety brain, is giving the subconscious mind a reason why those beliefs are no longer valid.
Interesting.
So, one of the exercises that we do is have your adult self go back and tell your child self, you are beautiful, you are smart, you are capable, you are loving and lovable. When the inner self hears those words and it goes back in time to deliver those words when they would have mattered the most, that's a game changer.
That's a game
changer.
Yeah, that probably takes a little bit of time too.
No, so that's the thing about hypnotherapy is it's fast. It is.
Is it really?
Oh yeah, I see most people for 5 sessions, and they usually get the level of change they were looking for.
that's
in those
great.
5 sessions.
It was
Some people
like an
use-
hour long.
Yeah. Some people go on with that. They just make it part of their life the way some people would get a facial or a massage. It's just part of their self-care that they do for themselves.
So do you get great joy out of your job?
I love it.
Love helping people?
Yeah, well, if I win the lottery, I'll still be doing it. Only for free. Yeah, I love it. It feels like I've just gotten started. And as I said, it's been more than a decade, but it feels new still.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
13 years, it feels new, and you're still getting great joy out of it.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I wanted to leave some time for you to ask any questions that are on your mind, anything that you want to talk about. I got my questions answered. I think the audience has got a very clear understanding of the value of hypnotherapy now. They understand that it's an alignment between the conscious and the subconscious mind that has to take place. They can't necessarily do it themselves. The 5x7 card is still very valuable. But what you're doing is programming, which I hadn't explained, the subconscious mind.
Yes.
And I think that's critically important. So are you, when we're working in hypnotherapy, are we actually changing the neural pathways? I hear a lot about that today.
Yeah, neuroplasticity.
I hear that everywhere.
Yeah, we are forming new connections. So one of the techniques that isn't specifically hypnosis but works fantastically and fast in forming new pathways is EFT or tapping. Did we do any of that?
We did some tapping.
We did some tapping, yeah. That is super fast. It's crazy fast. So if I am sitting with someone and they have a fear or self-limiting belief, we can rate it like on a scale of 0 to 10, 10 being the worst, 0 is not a problem. And doing different rounds of tapping can drop that number down within
How does that work?
15 minutes. It has something to do with when we're tapping, we're doing an affirmation while we're tapping, and it just is.
It was really interesting. It's freaking strange. So I'm on a plane flying back from New York, and this guy's doing this.
I love it.
He's tapping everything.
Yeah.
I'm like, so you got a tick? Like, what the fuck? What's this guy doing? I mean, he's doing.
Is he itchy? What's happening?
I'm like, he's got a tick. He's doing it the whole flight home. And finally I go, I couldn't help myself. You know me. It's like, bro, do you have like acne or do you have like, what's wrong? He's like, no, I'm tapping. I'm like, no, I can see that. But what is it all about? And he goes, I don't have the time to explain it because we were literally exiting the plane.
Yeah.
He goes, but look it up. Yeah. And I did. And I was just like, does that really work?
Yeah, it does. It's amazing. And I work with people who do not take fools lightly. I mean, medical doctors, special forces, CEOs. So when I say, okay, we're going to do this and eliminate the problem, they're like, yeah, that's going to work. I said, we're going to do it like 20 minutes. Like,
well, that was that's still my, I gotta get into it because when you get those anxiety moments, with Parkinson's, you got anxiety like all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, it just sucks. But if I could do tapping to drop some of that, that'd be great.
That might be a thing for AI, is let AI evaluate what techniques would work.
Well, so there you go.
This, yeah. But the actual doing, and I used to receive referrals from a natural medicine psychiatrist, board certified. She's brilliant. She's retired now, but when we were talking about the tapping, and she explained all the neuroscience behind it, and I was like, wow, that's.
Did you believe it right away?
Well, I already knew the technique, and she explained the brain power behind it, why it works. And there's a study that they did some years ago on combat veterans coming back with PTSD, and they would have them play Tetris while thinking about their trauma, and it would rewire the brain also. So it has something to do with thinking about the problem and occupying the brain in a certain way at the same time that sort of rubs out the old rut and makes room for a new one. So kind of an example I use is if you stood in front of a field of tall grass and every day you took the same path, eventually
you're worn down.
You've worn it down. So when you come to the field, your subconscious mind has no choice but to look right to the path and go there. So what this does, in essence, is flip up that grass and create a new path where you want it to go.
Wow.
So if someone has a SUDS level of like 8.5, let's say, this problem feels like an 8.5 bad, and we get down to about a 2.5 or so, at that point, we're going to start creating the new path and adding in the positive. So first is taking out the negative, and then we add in the positive.
Where can people go to learn about tapping?
There's all kinds of styles. I developed my own. It's specifically for the anxiety brain, and I have a course coming out on Udemy.
On Udemy?
Yeah.
Udemy.com?
Yeah.
So what's the link?
Well, if you, am I even saying that right? Udemy, is it?
Udemy, yeah.
Udemy, yeah. Okay, good. So if you go to Udemy and you get a subscription, you can look for the classes and.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So.
You know, there's so many different ways to help people.
There really is, and it's exciting. And when I meet other hypnotists and, they talk about how they help someone, I think, wow, like, I don't even know how that works. And I'm like, does it really work? And they say, yeah, I've been doing it for a long time. And I think, wow, that's amazing, because I would never approach the client in that way. But then again, hypnotists all have their own specialty. And when you were talking about or asking about how to pick a hypnotist or hypnotherapist, it should be someone who specializes in
something,
the area that you're pursuing.
Right.
And it really can be in another state, even another country.
So do you find it as effective as being in person, doing it over like...
My clients say, yeah. I think some people really just crave that one-on-one time. But other people who can't reach the specialty that they're seeking any other place, they say it works great.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And I do have clients that are local, so they do some sessions in the office and some sessions at home.
So if people want to reach out to you, where's the best way to get a hold of you?
They can look me up at mojohypnosis.com, mojohypnosis.com.
Okay.
And there's contact information there.
How to book appointments. And that's awesome. Yeah. I knew when you were going into this field, you were going to be super successful because your heart's in the right spot.
Thank you.
You're smart. You're incredibly bright. You've got an ability to help people, even when you're just talking in general. I mean, like, it's not like even the therapy session. You're just talking to them, and you offer wisdom and help, and I think it's great.
Yeah, we call that tequila therapy. We're just hanging out. We're just hanging out. I can hear that's my superpowers. I can hear someone's subconscious mind talking while their conscious mind is talking.
That's bizarre.
Yeah, it is. And I can.
That's a gift.
It is, and they have like little micro expressions. And I'm thinking, so like I'm tapping with someone, and I'll say the statement is, and this isn't not a problem for me, and I'll see their face going like a little twitch, like.
What are you buying this?
Yeah, I'm like, I think we found a rough spot. So, or someone might make a statement to me, and they'll say, oh, blah blah, and I'll repeat it back to them, and they sort of,
Yeah.
when I give it back to them, I'm thinking, oh, see, the subconscious mind disagrees. I had a mom that brought their kid in for a particular self-limiting belief, and we're just kind of crafting the approach that we're going to have. And so I, said, this is what we're going to do. And then the mom was repeating it back to me. And when she added in an extra step that the kid didn't put in and I didn't put in, his face just kind of went like,
nope.
Like, well, I'm like, we're going to leave that one out for now.
Yeah, control, delete.
Yeah. So it's just that little expression. And again, with Zoom, I can still see that little expression. I didn't think I would be 10 years ago, but.
That's amazing that you can do hypnotherapy over Zoom and have it be effective.
Yeah.
Really is. I mean, I would think that, there's a lot of people. It's funny. I get calls all the time, every week, from kids looking for advice, business advice, and will you meet with me for an hour? And I'm always yes to the young kids. I'm like, absolutely. And generally all real estate development kids who want to get into commercial real estate development, which is almost impossible. And I give them the wisdom, the guidance, and the advice. I get more out of it giving to them than they getting from me. At least I feel that way.
That's good.
Yeah. And I think it was a hypnotherapy, a good therapist, and a good mentor. Ron talked about a mentor. And I have had great mentors, great partners. I talked about Brad Becker. I talked about John Balanik. I mean, guys who are just titans in their industries and just, became presidents of companies that I own and they own with me. And literally, I was the only one who went to hypnotherapy. They could use it. Hey, guys, I'm just kidding. I was just kidding.
Yeah.
But it works. Yeah. I mean,
bringing it, Brad, I think that's a great example of the how. I remember you saying, I don't know how I'm going to do this or that. And then Brad shows up, and God's like, psh, psh, no worries. I got your other half. And, and
that's how we got that $30 million deal done, was with Brad.
You guys had a great run of successes.
Oh my God. I think like 40 properties between us. And then Phil Nass and I went on and did another, I don't know, 20, 30. And then John and I are now doing another 20 or 30 a year.
Yeah.
It's just, the empire has just grown like beyond belief. So that's why I got Brittany getting ready to take over, because I don't want to do it anymore.
You want to play all day in the sun? Is that what it is?
I want to play in the sun. As Ron says, anybody who wants to take me to Costa Rica, I'm game. Same here. It's fun.
That is fun. Yeah. It's, well, now I have a question for you, speaking of being a mentor. What is you have holistic success. You have a beautiful family. You have a very developed spiritual life, a very developed philanthropic life, and success off the charts. And I saw you flying around on your private plane on social media.
I just did to get people motivated.
What is the mindset that you have, like your personal motto or whatever, that helps you be tops in all these areas?
I fundamentally believe that you cannot outgive God. You cannot outgive God. And so my fundamental belief is the more I give away, the more it's going to come back to me. The universe does not cheat you. The universe rewards you on a 10-fold, 100-fold basis. Well, I've literally written a check for $500,000 or $1 million for charity and come back and found $5 million of a deal that wasn't going to make it, that makes it. So my fundamental philosophy is I spent the first 25 years of my life building my empire. Now I'm giving the last 25 years of my life, giving my life away. Like I call them heaven points. So
trying to buy your way in.
Yeah, I'm surely not trying to buy my way out. So every day I got to do 10 good deeds, 10 deeds of love, right? Okay. So every day 10, because I want to build up 10 points every day. So I'm like, all right. So
wait, how much is the admission? Because
you don't see me at Starbucks.
Started.
I go to Starbucks. I hold the door open. And I just wait for people to walk in and out. There's one, there's two, there's three. I wait them at Starbucks, and then I go to the car wash, and I'll compliment the lady who's not necessarily the most beautiful woman in the world, but I tell her that she looks beautiful today. And there's a 5th point. So if I can rack up 10 by noon, I'm good. And then everything else is a bonus. And I'm like, just keep giving your life away. It's like we've built, 5, 6 villages in Nicaragua and Haiti, and built a house in Minnesota for the family last year. And
so would you say that wealth can be spiritual, or wealth can be...
It's absolutely a tool for spiritual development.
Because that is at odds with, say, Buddhism, or, maybe someone who's, Quaker or Hasidic people, like very austere life,
But you know what? I mean, taking a vow of poverty is great for a priest, but it ain't good for a businessman.
A quote. We should put that on a plaque.
Oh my God. Father Angelo's gonna shit when he hears that. But the truth of the matter is that money is not evil. The love of money is evil. But money is not evil. Money is a tool that you have to run a business, to give to the world. How can I help that guy on the street if I have no resources to help him? I can wish him good luck and say a prayer for him, and that may be enough, but he needs to eat now. So I carry a whole stack of McDonald's gift cards in my car. And every time I see a guy holding a sign on the freeway off-ramp, I give him a $10, gift card, because they can't be used for cash. They can't get cash back and buy drugs or booze, whatever. Whatever. Maybe it should be.
I like that filter just kicked in right there. See, that was that expression I got.
But so fundamentally, my philosophy, to get back to your point, is give your life away. You know what? You've got eternity to live. If you believe spiritually, I'm a Christian, so I believe I live forever with the Lord. But faith without works is dead. So I've got great faith. I live by my faith, but you got to show works that take faith. Otherwise, faith without works is just dead. I mean, to say I believe is one thing, but if you believe, then go do, right? So that's been my fundamental driver. I love helping people. I love help. That's why I'm doing this podcast. I'm not making any money on it. I'm doing it because I love people. And it's another venue for me to be able to help people. You know, getting them connected with you, getting them connected with Ron, getting them connected. I'm trying to get my viewers connected with all the people who can help them accelerate whatever it is they're trying to achieve. And that's all I care about. And so when I thought about how can I reach millions of people, you know what, we'll start a podcast and it'll grow organically. And we'll just keep getting quality people like yourself.
Thank you.
Who we love and adore and are great at what they do. And I mean, there are going to be so many people that are going to take away from this podcast what you told them and what you've taught them. And they're going to be like, wow, I need to seek that sort of assistance out. Or you know, I'm going to check out tapping or whatever it is. Yeah. But you're going to get a lot of good feedback.
Yeah.
What else you got for me?
Well, let's see. What do you do for self-care to wind down? Like, I mean, obviously you're...
Mindful meditation. I need it every day.
Good.
You know what it is? Prayer. So prayer in the morning, meditation at night. Go up at 8 o'clock at night after having dinner with the family. Pray, meditate, deep breathing, and it just calms my whole body, my whole spirit.
Love it. So you obviously... when you sit down to meditate, I'm sure you got intrusive thoughts about all the wheels that are turning throughout your business day and that you have on the stuff you have to face in the morning.
Yeah.
How do you quiet your mind? Because I hear that a lot, particularly from people who struggle with anxieties. How do I quiet my mind so that I can stay in a meditation?
You know what's really been amazing? I don't know if it was you who told me or somebody told me, go get presidents to run your companies. And I did that. I was scared at first because I can't turn control over. I was a control freak. But by turning the control over to the presidents, I don't have to be anywhere. My whole anxiety issue before Parkinson's was about having to get all this shit done. I gotta get done now. I gotta make $1 million now. I gotta do it. I was just driving myself batshit crazy. And so now I have the luxury of, you know, I'm not gonna go to work today. I'm not gonna. You know, if I'm late for this meeting, I'm late for the meeting, whatever. I think that's played a big role is just, you know, letting go. Letting go.
Letting go.
If I can let go of this dream with the Vikings, which I'll work on after this, I think things will manifest much more rapidly than I think if I were trying to control it.
Yes. Yes. The why and letting go of everything else.
And the why is perfect. The why is to get up in front of 100 million people and talk about Jesus Christ and what he's done for the world. You know, and people can take it or they can leave it. They can love me or they can hate me. I don't care. But that's the why. And I would think that's a pretty good why, you know?
It only has to matter to you.
Right, right.
Yeah. Yeah. That's great. Good.
Yes.
All right. One more question. What mindset do you adopt or employ or fire up when you've made an error, a mistake, you've had a setback in business?
I look at it. Typically, my employers will tell you the mistakes are made by me. So that's the first problem. Is I'm the one who generally makes the mistakes. So I look at it as a learning opportunity. Like you said, there are no mistakes. There's only steps, something like that. And I literally believe that. I mean, I think everything is put in your path for a reason. You know, for an opportunity to grow and develop. You know, Edison said, I didn't develop the light bulb for 9,999 times. I just found 9,999 new ways not to develop. Yeah. So I literally failed his way to success. Yeah. And I think that's a lot of what mine has been. Yeah. Is I owned a wine import and distribution company, didn't do great, sold it, put it into real estate, did great. You know, so I think, you know, when I have a failure, and I got a lot of them, I just don't tell everybody.
Your secret's safe with me.
Yeah, I don't tell everybody. I wouldn't have much of a podcast. But you know, I just look at it. I just go, I've basically listened to smart people, like Ron talked about mentors. I hired great mentors. I have great spiritual guidance with Father Angelo, with you, with people in my life. I have a very small core of inner group of people. And so I always tell people, get a core group of people tight that you can trust with your life. Like you're one. Like you're just that special. So there's like a core of like 10 people that I go to when I want to talk about, like when we were up in Whistler this year skiing, I mean, we had some great talks and really helpful. And so I think about that. And as long as I can be very vulnerable with you, but that's why I wouldn't want to do it over YouTube or not, or whatever.
Virtual, like a virtual session.
I need to be in your presence because I get your energy and I get the peace and the safety and the, but I will tell you that is one thing I think is really important.
Yeah. I think I just saw something in your Minnesota Vikings journey there is, do you have a mentor? Do you have a core that's prepared for that goal?
I don't have one yet.
So maybe that's part of the how that haunts you, is that you don't have the right people around you. It's not a solo journey.
Yeah, so that core group of people I was talking about, none of them are pro-athlete. Well, one of them is a pro-athlete owner. As you know, we went to the Sacramento Kings game. Ron and I had a bunch of friends. Alex Bethal is his name. He's a very smart guy.
All right. There's one mentor there.
He owns the Sacramento Kings, and he owns the new women's soccer team. So, you know, it's exciting. But you're right. That could be a takeaway for me, is to get a mentor and really grow, because I want to get it done.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you have anything that you per se are working on that do you see a therapist, like a hypnotherapist?
I have not. I think it's because it's really hard for me to not. Yeah, they say like doctors are the worst patients. I think hypnotists are probably the worst customer you can have, because again, there's so many different ways to do it. So for me, it's easier to just switch to a different modality. And I love traditional therapy. I think it's great. And if I can identify what the self-limiting beliefs are in traditional therapy, then I can work on them.
You know, so my mom, who I introduced you to, Sherry. Sherry is a PhD, and she is amazing. I can't give her information. She doesn't take new clients, but she is amazing. She's been on the show several times, and she is just beyond brilliant. And she when she was with her clients, she says, I do 3-hour sessions or I don't do anything. She says, because I can't unpack your shit in 50 minutes and then ask you for a credit card. She goes, so she does 3-hour, if you sign up with her, you do 3-hour segments. And it may take only one. Yeah. But she goes, I can really dig in 3 hours. I can't dig in and help you in 50 minutes. Because by the 45th minute, I'm looking at the clock going, gotta get the credit card, you know.
Yeah. Honestly, traditional therapy, working on a 45 or 50-minute hour, I don't know how they do it. I need all 60 minutes of our session. The first session takes 90 minutes because I got to get the backstory and also how a person processes and a sense of their energy and so forth. But no, 3 hours, that sounds exhausting for both the clinician and the
So I used to see her twice a week, 3 hours.
6 hours a week?
Yeah. Well, I needed a lot of work, man.
You're a fixer-upper?
I've been fixer-upper, but I needed the help. But she's phenomenal, like you. Just awesome what they do. So.
Well, I'm glad to hear my name mentioned in the same sentence as her. Yeah,
well, and it is an honor,
great. Yeah.
Because she's very well known, very well respected, like you. How are the kids?
Great. baby Aiden getting ready to go off to college.
She's going to go to Chapman University.
Chapman University. That'll be my
Congratulations.
second. Thank you. My second Panther.
Yeah.
Her older sister, Lexi.
Great school.
Great school. They're so into their population. It is fantastic. And, it's in Orange County, so not too far away.
Not too far.
But she'll live on campus.
You've been very blessed to have both daughters go to Chapman and be local and be close to home.
Yeah, they earned it. They worked so hard.
And then Ethan is working with Ron.
Yeah, he's doing the family business route.
That's amazing.
Yeah, he doesn't love school. He never did.
Reagan, it's really interesting. My son Reagan is a great soccer player. He just signed up to go to LMU, play with them. He's leaving Thursday to go to Europe, and he's going to go, with the soccer team. But it's great to watch your kids succeed. It really is. Yeah. It's just great. And, I got Brittany working with me now, and she's just, just so special, such a killer. Yeah. And then Maddie's going back to school to get her degree in teaching.
I love that for her.
Oh, it's great.
When I heard that, I thought all the little kids that will ever be her students will never forget her.
They will never forget her.
They will never forget her. They'll be on Miss Heslin this, Miss Heslin that.
She is so special, that Maddie.
She is. And I think her ability to really see someone's soul is going to be a great asset.
She's a beauty.
Yeah.
Before we wrap this up, I wanted to talk about one thing that I know. A friend of mine's daughter is an amazing journalist, and she did a TED Talk, believe it or not, on her imposter syndrome.
Okay.
It's really important because I now know what it is personally, and I now know what it feels like to have that syndrome. But can you talk a little bit about imposter syndrome and what it is and what people can do to help themselves?
Right. I interpret imposter syndrome to be, everyone thinks I'm so great, but I'm just me, and I don't even know what I'm doing. I'm just kind of trying to make my way through it. So that is, again, a self-limiting belief that you are just somehow managed to fake your way through something,
right?
Fake your way to excellence. So in my office or in hypnotherapy, I help clients to get in touch with their gifts, that it is a gift. Like your risk tolerance has to be fairly high to do what you do. And not everybody has that, but that's a gift. And I'll roll in a person's spiritual beliefs. So for example, if a person believes in God, and I will say, well, God did not give that risk tolerance level to everyone, but he gave it to you because he knew what you would do with it. He knew how you would shine with that. So someone else, might, have other gifts, but really you putting them in touch with their gifts and the belief that you are worthy of success. It's a big thing that we accidentally get stuck in our brains as kids, is not being worthy of greatness.
Mona, it really is. I mean, in all transparency. So part of my deal is like I sit atop of these companies, and I'm on every board of the diocese. I'm the bishop's advisor, and I mean, talk about sitting in a room full of billionaires and the bishop, and not feel like they got to find out that I'm not part of this club. Like, what am I doing here? Do I even belong here? That's imposter syndrome, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I think the higher the level I've gone, the more I feel it.
Yes.
Is that interesting?
Yeah. But it's, again, just being aware of that and letting the inner child know, hey, we're here to learn and to grow and have a good time and, contribute something. I think that's the big part of overcoming imposter syndrome is understanding and accepting that each of us has something to contribute.
Okay.
Yeah. I had a client, she was meditating and had this great vision that came to her. I mean, it could only be described as supernatural. She said the way that it felt to her, but she was being shown like this huge multitude of people. And there was this song that was rising, this music that was rising. And it became known to her that each person was a note in the song.
Oh, wow.
I was blown away when she was telling me this. Every person, she said, as these notes were rising, I thought, oh, this is just going to be a mishmash, bad melody because there's too many notes. And she said, and it wasn't. It was the most beautiful melody I had ever heard. And it was being shown to me that I was one of those notes, and that without my note, the song is not the same.
Wow.
Isn't that wild?
That is so helpful.
Yes. And there was a time when she considered offing herself, and it was made known to her that you cannot remove your song, your note from the song. That will change it.
Wow, yeah, that changes everything.
Doesn't it?
You know, that really helps me. Thank you. Yeah. Because I mean, I know I'm at a very high level, and I know I've worked hard to get there. I've taken a lot of risks to get there. I've had a lot of good fortune, a lot of good partners, you know, God's guidance. I mean, I've had a lot of good of everything get me there. But I still have imposter syndrome at times. Like, I'll be sitting in this room, and I'm like, I got to contribute something, like to feel worthwhile, to feel like I'm validating my existence in this room, and so I'll typically offer something. But you know, a lot of times I think that imposter syndrome comes from childhood, right? I mean, it's like when I was young, my childhood was one of where I wasn't allowed to do anything. We had people doing everything, and so I mean. The
flip side of that luxury is it accidentally programs the brain to think you're not capable.
That's exactly my point was going to be. So I was taught, let Dad do it. Let this guy do it. Let this. Every time I tried to touch or do something, I was told, you're not. Just shut up. Let me handle it. And that was my growing up. So anytime you want to reach for something new, you get fearful. Like touch the hot stove. I don't want to touch the hot stove again. And it created that imposter syndrome.
So in hypnotherapy, we would remind your subconscious that you have a note to contribute, but you don't have to force the note or make it louder than anybody else's note, because that's inside, and you're very present on this earth is your note.
That is so good. I love that. So this friend of ours whose daughter had imposter syndrome, she was just very accomplished. She went to the Olympics as a collegiate reporter to report on the Olympics, and she had imposter. I can understand that one. Not only you're a college student and you're reporting for NBC Worldwide Sports or whatever it is, you know. I mean, I could see that. And I can see anybody's imposter syndrome when they reach a certain level of success, or maybe just in general. You know, you've been told you're not worthy. You've been told you're not good enough. And you start to believe that, and there's that neuro pathway.
Yeah, and then the subconscious mind starts looking for proof, because it needs to be right. So it will start looking for proof that you are not worthy, or you are, not enough somehow. So if we can reprogram that you are worthy, you are enough, you are a contributor, then it will look for proof of that.
I am really glad that we brought this topic up, because I know a lot of people suffer from it.
Yeah,
it's real.
Yeah,
I mean, it's real.
It is. But again, when we approach, I feel like when we approach life as a student, so you're in a room with some heavy hitters, some big players. If you walk into that room as a student, what don't I know? What don't I know? Right. What, I mean, how blessed am I to be here? Right. Obviously all that knowledge, all that energy in that room.
I'm here as a student.
I'm here as a student. What don't I know? So that makes you ask good questions, and then you do walk away with something, and it also opens it up for you to be asked questions. So
I'm there as a student, and then when you start feeling that insignificant factor, where you're insignificant, you just go, I'm a note in a song.
Yes.
And without me, this song's not the same.
That's right.
And I don't have to be the loudest note. I don't have to be the quietest note. I just need to be the note.
The note. Yes.
Well, that's fucking awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, that is a beauty.
Well, I appreciate your time today.
My pleasure.
Love being with you.
Thanks.
Socially, spiritually, and here on the podcast.
Thanks. Well, you're an inspiration to a lot of people, not only with the way that you are going to rise above Parkinson's and the way that you do. And I do believe your mindset has everything to do why it has not overtaken you.
Yeah.
And you.
I'm being the shit out of this thing. I'm going to win.
Thank you for showing us the way.
Love you.
Love you.
Have a great day.